Get up. Get dressed. Can't you hear those dogs barking? Get your gear together. We're marching out in 10 minutes. Gear? What's happening? It was midnight on an August night in 1971 at Camp Wauwapex, out east on Long Island, and my 13-year-old self had been startled awake from a deep sleep. The commanding voice was insistent. It was Robbie, a young Army vet recently returned from Vietnam, an adult leader of our Boy Scout troop, although he had no direct relation to any of us. He was only in his mid-20s, but he seemed a lot older. Robbie carried himself with authority, and we were all in awe of him. He was a big, imposing guy with an impressive mustache. While gruff, he was also encouraging and approachable. Over the last year, he had taught us a lot about campcraft and wilderness survival on some pretty intense winter campouts. He could also be coaxed into sharing stories about his Army experiences, and we couldn't get enough of it. Let's go, get it together. We fall in. Robbie was issuing the orders, so it must be something necessary and important. I grabbed a plastic drop sheet, flashlight, and mess kit, threw them into a knapsack. Judging from the sounds and muffled comments coming from nearby tents, everybody else was doing the same. The campsite was aglow from Coleman lanterns as we all gathered in formation, more than a little confused and bleary-eyed. Robbie was in charge, but several dads were there too, with serious faces, and they didn't betray anything. 10 hut! We're moving out! No explanation was given. No one dared ask for one. We marched out into the moonlit night and onto the lake road, headed away from the camp facilities. No one spoke. Then into the woods and to a halt a short ways in. Spread out and bed down for the night. Unsure, we all complied without a word, as if to question the order would be to disobey it. I headed into the woods and found a depression filled with dry leaves, wrapped myself in the plastic sheet, and used my backpack as a pillow. I lay there for a while, zoned out, before I fell asleep. Sometime after dawn, we were awakened, reassembled, marched back to our campsite. Over breakfast, the conversation buzzed. None of us was quite sure about what had happened, but we were all in agreement that it had been so cool. Robbie and the other adult leaders were enjoying our reaction and turned the questions back at us, challenging us to explain the what and why of the exercise. They relished the recap, ribbing us about our astonished expressions. On Visitors' Day, the nocturnal saga dominated conversation with the assembled families. The moms, of course, were initially concerned, but the dads assured them that it was simply a rite of passage. So it was. I stayed involved in Boy Scouts for another couple of years until high school activities led to a different path. The raw awareness of early transformative experiences morphed dramatically as I matured. Then, decades of adult life. A few months ago, a childhood friend emailed. He'd been thinking about Robbie as a role model and mentor and wanted my help in locating him. My search yielded a recent obituary. Robbie had been a good and responsible man with family that loved him, a successful career, and good friends. Any of us should be grateful for a life that ends that way. It was good to know and what I would have expected. Still, I wish there'd been an opportunity to let him know all these years later how much his effort to help a group of boys become strong, resilient men was appreciated. The memory of that night march at Camp Wauwapex is in sharper focus now.